Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Welcome back to the show. We are excited to have Dr. Ted Davis joining us again from Grace Strategic Services. He's here to help us with grace4success.com. That's the website, and the number 4, grace4success.com. Welcome back today. How are you?
Well, thank you very much, Jill. It's good to talk with you. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving holiday.
I sure did. And yourself?
Yes, excellent. Got to spend time with my wife, which is always great, and got to go visit one of my 3 kids. So it's a good weekend.
Beautiful. And you're based out of, is it Leavenworth, Kansas?
Yes.
Beautiful.
End of the country.
Well, we're excited that you're joining us again today, and I know we're going to go over the 5 essentials of owning a business. And, well, we're going to start off with a little introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do for the new-time listeners that are joining us today.
Yes. Again, my name is Ted Davis, and I've been in business now for myself 27 years, Grace Strategic Services, Inc. I'm a retired Army officer. I was very blessed to, first of all, attend the military academy in West Point, graduated in 1974, served 22 years on active duty, and then had a short stint as vice president for international marketing and sales of a manufacturing company. And then I launched Grace Strategic Services, Inc. And so I've been doing this for 27 years now. And I just celebrated, last week, earlier this month, our anniversary, December 1st. And we focus on strategic leadership, coaching, training, and consulting.
Thank you for sharing that. And you're here growing leaders, aligning systems, clarifying strategies, engaging employees. And I love that you say that the difference with you all at GSSI, again, it's Grace Strategic Services, is you are experienced, passionate professionals helping clients to get the right results with the right systems and fully engaged employees, right?
Absolutely. So I appreciate your highlighting that.
Thank you. I'm on the website, and I hope everyone else does as well. So let's get started with today's conversation. Where did you want to begin?
Well, I thought I'd share briefly with our listeners what I call the 5 essentials of running a business. Running a business requires a lot more than simply having a good idea or just having one strong product. You got to understand, obviously, the core principles of what is driving value, efficiency, and productivity. Those are the key things. So, essential number 1, I believe, is every organization exists to deliver something of value to the marketplace. Every organization exists to deliver something of value to the marketplace. Now, people may say, well, no, duh, of course that's true. But I've seen an awful lot of leaders periodically. They get so involved in the tasks that they become task focused rather than value or purpose driven. And I think you've got to remember, what is the purpose? What is the thing that we deliver as value? So whether it's a product or service or a combination of both of those, what is it you're delivering to the marketplace that the marketplace really wants? Years ago, when I first got started in this business, a good friend of mine, Fred, wonderful guy, got me started in consulting. And he told the story of an encounter he had with a company that manufactured FM radios. And they were fixated that they built radios, and they did a lot of work for the U.S. government. And as Fred was consulting with them, he tried to get them to think about, you got to think about what does the box do? They were so fixated about the box, they forgot that what the box did, the radio, it sent a signal over the horizon. That became critically important. And when they were trying to compete for a contract back, this was in the early 90s, when there was an engagement in the Balkans, and they were trying to compete for a contract, they lost it because they were fixated on building the box. They didn't see the new technology coming, which came from Deutsche Telekom. And Deutsche Telekom offered a microwave technology to provide the over-the-horizon transmissions that was necessary in that very mountainous terrain. And I think that's an example of, you've got to remember, what is that thing? What is the thing that we deliver of value to the marketplace? Because then you got to continually refine and enhance your value proposition so you stay relevant and competitive in the marketplace. So that's number one. Organizations exist to deliver something of value to the marketplace. Essential number two is the buyer determines what is the value. So you got to know your buyers. And we're going to have a great idea. You got plenty of entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs. I think they're going to provide the best mousetrap and so forth. And that's great, but eventually you got to understand, what is it the buyer is? What is it they want? What's crucial to them? What is their need? What is their want? What is their preference? What is their buying behavior? So you got to conduct thorough market research to gain insights into the target audience. What is it they want? What are their pain points? What are their purchasing habits? What are their preferences, as I said? And by aligning your offer with your buyers, what is the true value, you better meet their needs and you build stronger customer relationships. So I think essential number two, buyers determine what is valuable, so you got to know the buyers. The number three essential, I think, is you deliver value through systems, so you got to know your systems thoroughly. Doing business is complex, whether it's in the information age or the industrial age or whatever age we're in. Delivering something of value that the customer wants, it becomes pretty complex. You have purchasing systems, you've got manufacturing systems, you've got administrative systems, you've got distribution systems. Delivering that value, you've got to ensure that the system encompasses the processes, the technologies, the workflow, the people, the resources. Are they all pulling in the same direction? So knowing your systems inside and out is essential, because what you're trying to do is optimize the performance and be able to consistently deliver the customer value. So I think the leaders have got to continually or regularly evaluate and refine their systems. So they got to know them thoroughly. So again, the first one is that every organization exists to deliver something of value to the marketplace. Number two was buyers determine what's valuable. So you got to know your buyers. Number three, you deliver value through systems. So you've got to know your systems thoroughly. I think essential number four, systems must be effective and efficient. So you need to know your numbers. You got to understand, what are the numbers for the input? What are the products you're taking in? You got to know the numbers on your processes and the outputs. So you got to track and analyze key metrics so that you ensure your systems are functioning effectively, that they deliver what they're supposed to, and of course efficiently, that they do it at the lowest cost that is feasible. So again, it takes thorough knowledge of those, the systems. So the input. The input includes things like information. It can be raw materials. It can be processed materials from somebody else. But you take in parts, like a car manufacturer takes in parts from various places. They receive that as their input. They can obviously labor, the time required. All that is input. And then there's going to be a process, something that you go through that transforms resources into a product, transforms information into a product or to a service, and all that creates an output, the final product or the service delivered. And again, that's got to be tied to what is the brand promise, what is the value proposition that you've made your brand promise, and that's tied to what the customer wants. And so by monitoring your metrics, you can identify what are the areas to improve, where do we need to optimize better, where are our constraints. One of the great things I think leaders need to study is constraint theory, to understand where in your workflows and your systems, where is there a choke point that can get things muddled up. You got to know where those are. And of course, you're trying to understand those so you can reduce waste. So use your data, use your metrics for continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And then the fifth thing is motivated, valuable, and productive employees make systems work. So you got to get the right people into the right seats. I really believe that.
Yeah.
Management is really kind of simple. It's 7 things.
Okay.
Get the right person at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right stuff, so we get the right outcome. All you have to do is provide the right leadership. But my 5th essential here, you're looking for people who are motivated. You got to hire people who are motivated, and then you keep them motivated by helping them meet their needs. We are motivated by meeting our needs. Or what do we value? What are we trying to create? So we provide people with enough significance. What is the role they play? Are they significant? And then we've got to be able to compensate them fairly. So keep them motivated. You've got to help people be valuable by ensuring they're trained, they're in the right position. You put them where they can succeed. And then, of course, when you've got a motivated person in the right place with all the right stuff, and they're well trained to do it, they're going to be productive, and they're going to make the systems work. So you got to rely heavily on your people and having, again, those motivated, skilled, and productive employees. So you got to recruit talent for each role, invest in their development, and then align the responsibilities with their strengths to do that. So again, I think to kind of summarize and make it a little more concise, mastering these 5 essentials: delivering value, understanding buyers, knowing your systems, tracking key metrics, and having the right people in the right roles. That's really the essentials for forming a successful business.
Wow.
So anyway, that's what I kind of wanted to chat about today.
Well, I love it. Well, for those out there listening, who don't know, a little bit of your background, how over the years have you gained this insight? Could you share a little bit about, your background and, how you found the company and just a little bit about yourself, I think, to walk people through, why you really know how to grace for success.
Well, I think, a couple things. As an Army officer, you really have to learn a lot about leadership and about people and about, success. Certainly one of the key things I learned was success comes through other people. And that's what a leader does. And the definition of leadership is that you influence other people so that they succeed. That's one definition of leadership. There are many others. But so I think that's an essential that I picked up as an Army officer, that you've really got to get the right people into the right seat. And then equip them. You've got to train people. You've got to equip them with the right resources. And then my first job after I retired was for a manufacturing company. And it was a wonderful opportunity. I was working I was the vice president for international marketing and sales. But because it was a manufacturing company, I had to pay attention to, what we did, because we were selling a product. We were selling aluminum forms for the construction of homes specifically. And so to know the product and how it was used took a lot of study, it took time to go visit, but it really, I delved into, how do we produce this? Because to be able to sell it, I need to be able to explain the value, and the value came from how it was made, how it was prepared for doing that. So I really spent some time on the manufacturing floor getting to know their processes, because it was their work that I was selling. And I got to, work with some really neat people who taught me a lot of neat stuff about business and about processes, particularly manufacturing processes. And so when I left that job and started my own consulting company, and I got to work, with companies that, distribution centers, electrical contractors, transportation companies, a whole bunch of varieties. So I've had the great honor of working with so many companies over the last 27 years. But I see the same thing repeated again and again, which are these 5 essentials. The other thing is I continue to study a lot, because I think you've got to pay attention to what is happening in the marketplace, and and really understanding human behavior. So that's kind of been my focal point and how I got into all the stuff I love to coach on.
Let me ask you this.
I hope that answers your question.
It sure does, and I hope people got to know a little more about you, and I did, again, even though I already knew, but always by talking to someone, you learn a little more about them each and every time, and clearly you have a lot of resources, a lot of knowledge with your development and coaching and management and all this, which is great. So hold on. We got to take a quick break here. We talk so much, which is great. So Dr. Ted, by the way, tell us how we can contact you, and then we're going to pause for a quick commercial break, and we'll return and talk more, about the company and about the people you're helping.
Yeah, so if people want to contact me, please call me at 913-306-1499. or my email address, Davis, just one D, Davis at grace4success.com.
Sounds good.
Grace4success.com, number 4.
Beautiful. Stand by. We'll be right back after this.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
My dad used to say that.
Sure, yeah. It's from Geico.
Yeah, whenever I would ask my dad for life advice, he'd sit me down and say, son, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. And look at me now, a well-adjusted adult with a drawer full of plastic bags I'll never use.
Okay, I'm confused. Was your dad a licensed Geico agent?
Nah, he was just a real good dad.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hey, do you want to know the secret to self-confidence, self-love, and self-awareness? Well, your thoughts, like everything in the universe, are energy. They vibrate at different frequencies depending on the nature of your thought. When you decide to change your level of consciousness, your outside circumstances will change drastically. I am Sandra Robinson, founder of BeyondFocus.org. As a personal development life coach with years of experience, I will help you explore how to refocus and realign your life with certainty. Remember, you are just one choice away from achieving your dreams.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the mytuner-radio, online radio box, and simpleradio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, Grace for Success. That's what we are talking about. Dr. Ted Davis here, and really how he's helping so many as a leadership coach, and he's helping them clarify, what their business model should be, their personal mission, helps you set those goals to achieve what you need, to access those tools and support. And let me ask, I always love hearing examples. Would you mind sharing, I know you work with a lot of CEOs, any examples of some of the work you've done alongside someone? If you can mention their names or not, anonymously, that's fine, but I want to hear some insight. I love hearing it. Thank you.
Well, I've had great pleasure to working with a lot of CEOs, and particularly as a coach, one of the things I've had a real passion for is that, there's a tremendous power in a candid, confidential conversation with coaches. With clients. So when someone, oftentimes leaders, and I'm sure a lot of them out there have seen that, it can be very lonely. And certainly when I worked with, I was now it's called VISTA, it used to be called the Executive Committee Tech, and I was the tech chair for about 5 years. And so I got to work with CEOs, and I remember talking with one guy. This guy was phenomenal. He's a multimillionaire. He had great success, but he was struggling personally about what's the next thing in life. And he had great uncertainty, and I was trying to think, okay, what can I possibly offer this guy? But what I got to learn was that candid, confidential conversation. And because he had trust in me, and I really took this confidentiality, I still do take confidentiality very seriously. he was able to open up. And just by having the conversation, almost by hearing himself talk about his issues, and I prodded him with some supportive questions, things that he ought to consider. So it was a combination of the questioning, it was the listening, but it was those two things, the questioning and the listening, were only vehicles for him to be reflective about what he was feeling, what he was thinking, what he was experiencing. And by having that candid, confidential conversation, he was able to gain clarity about what his struggle was, and then overcome the doubts that were kind of clouding his thinking at the time. And it really helped him sharpen his thinking. So, we had 2 or 3 sessions where we went through the struggle he was dealing with. But by the time we got through that long period of reflection, the bounce in his step returned, his vigor for the business returned, because he got greater clarity about what he was like at that time. As we age, as we go through periods in our life, our purposes change. At one time I was a father of young kids, I was a father of a teenager. Now I'm a grandfather of teenagers. And those are different roles. So I think you need to go through these roles, trying to have clarity about what you have to offer.
Yeah. Wow.
What your significance is. So I think that is the one thing as a coach that just continues to marvel, is that if you can create, and this is what I try to do, create a safe place where there's non-judgmental discussion. So it's a candid, confidential conversation in a safe environment so that people can reflect, and the magic of that never ceases to amaze me.
Well, I love that, that you clearly are passionate about the work you do, and you really, you have that structure in you, right? Maybe it was West Point. And, just being, who you are as a lifelong learner and leadership trainer and coach, you got it. And it's great to know that you've made so many contacts and connections here and continue to, mentor others as well with the work you do. And if you are just tuning in, don't forget it's Grace for the number 4 success.com. And we still have 5 more minutes left to talk more about whether it's the executive coaching. Do you want to talk more strategies, or, what else do you think is important for us to get to know today? And if you did miss it, guys, again, we had a great conversation. You can always rewind and watch the rest of it today, and we can review those 5 essentials of owning a business.
One thing in the few minutes that we've got left, I just want to emphasize is that, leadership is a unique and complex human behavior. And it really requires a sound character, because leadership is always about the relationship. It's about influencing people. I think the critical skill, as I work, in fact, I'm working on a organizational culture document for a client right now. And with that, we develop a leadership model. Mm-hmm. And what I encourage leaders to consider as they develop their organizational culture, as they define their leadership model for their company, the first and most critical skill that a leader must have is effective communication and instilling trust. That sounds like 2 things, but it's not. It's one thing. As a leader, you've got to be able to communicate effectively so that you will instill trust, because people will not trust you until they hear from you and they know that you're sincere. And that sincerity, that authenticity can only be done as you're communicating with people. And communication is not just simply the words you say, it's how you engage with people, with your emotions, with your body language, how you treat them. So it's the total package of communication, that breeds trust. And you've got to have people trust you so that they will listen to your message. And to do that, to get the trust, you've got to communicate, and to be able to communicate clearly, meaning that people will understand your message, you must build trust. So I think that idea of communicating effectively and instilling trust is one skill set that I encourage leaders to put in their company leadership model.
Well, it's, that takes a lot, right?
That's one of the things I'm passionate about.
Oh, well, clearly we love, the work you're doing. And by the way, one thing, you mentioned in your notes, I never talked about this, or it was on the website, that you're really a world traveler, right? How many countries have you been in? Oh, my goodness. Just curious.
Oh, my gosh. I'm not sure I can give you the exact number. I'm very fortunate that I lived in Korea for 2 years, lived in Germany for 3 years. So I got to travel throughout Europe, which was really awesome. For both me and my family. Got to travel to, West Central Africa several times. In Asia, got to visit, not only live in Korea, but visit in Japan, visit China several times, Singapore, India for several days. So the only place that's still on my bucket list is to visit Australia and New Zealand.
Wow.
I only get those. I've been to Russia a couple times. That was interesting travel.
Got it.
Yeah, and the international travel is exhilarating because you get to see people in their natural environment. And one of the things I took away is that there are so many things that we as human beings absolutely share. We're all like, I think Maslow's hierarchy of needs applies to growth and culture. But the content, so there's there's the principles of human behavior, but then the content of the behavior, that's going to vary culture by culture, which is pretty fascinating.
I want to thank you for being here today. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Would you mind sharing all the ways we can reach out to you? And thank you so much for being here. Great conversation.
Thank you. Again, my phone number, so you can call or text 913-306-1499. And the email address is TEDavis, just one D, TEDavis, at grace4success.com, and that's the number 4.
Perfect.
And look forward to hearing from you.
Beautiful. Sounds good. Thank you so much. You have a great day, and hopefully we'll get to talk again. Are we back on next week before the holiday?
Yes.
Great. Well,
take care.
Perfect. Sounds good. Happy holidays, everyone, and we'll be back next week. Bye-bye.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend?
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.